Okay, let's try and unpack this. Imagine an industry that, well, in just over a decade, is set to grow from just a few billion to hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, that's not just growth. That's an explosion. Today, we're diving into the global influencer market. It's this force that's completely changing how we shop, how we get information, maybe even how we, interact with brands. We've got some really incredible insights here from cognitive market research that really paint a picture of this phenomenal expansion.
Yeah, it's true. What's really fascinating here isn't just the scale, though that's huge,
Yeah.
but the speed, the sheer velocity of this transformation.
Right.
These aren't just, abstract numbers on a page. They
Yeah.
really represent a fundamental reshaping of, well, how value is created and how it's exchanged in our digital economy.
Definitely. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to show you the current landscape of this market, maybe peek into its, frankly, astonishing future, and pinpoint the key regions, the countries that are really fueling this whole global thing.
Right.
By the end, hopefully, you'll have a really concrete grasp of just how vast and uh, how impactful this market has actually become. So let's jump right into the numbers because this is where it gets really interesting. Back in 2021, the global influencer market, it was already pulling in revenue around, what, $7.4 billion? dollars?
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
Which is already pretty substantial.
It is, but listen to this. By 2025, just next year, that's projected to surge to roughly $22.5 billion. dollars.
A big jump in just a few years.
Exactly. And then a long-term forecast, looking out to 2033, it's a staggering $209.9 billion, dollars, almost $210 billion.
Mind-blowing, really.
We're talking about a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 32.2%.
And let's just pause on that for a second. That 32.2% CAGR, to put that into perspective, it means on average, this whole market is expanding by nearly a third every single year.
Every year. Wow.
For an entire global industry to sustain that kind of growth year after year for over a decade,
Yeah.
well, it tells you this is a foundational shift. It's not just some fleeting trend.
No way.
It points to a really profound reevaluation of marketing, of consumer engagement strategies, like across the board. And it does raise a really important question, doesn't it? What does this kind of expansion mean for the future of, say, traditional media, traditional advertising?
That is the critical question, isn't it? It really suggests a massive shift in where attention is going, where ad money is flowing. And while this is absolutely global, I mean, it's happening everywhere, the data does show some clear regional powerhouses kind of lighting the charge.
Right. There are definitely hotspots.
Okay, so let's start with North America. This region, it's held a really substantial share of the market for a while, generated around $2.7 billion back in 2021.
A strong base.
But by 2033, that number is estimated to balloon to over $71 billion, still growing at a very healthy CAGR of just over 31%.
Still over 30%, even in a mature market. That's significant.
It is, and the United States, naturally, it just dominates here, projected to hit nearly $53 billion itself by 2033. But it's not just the U.S., right? Canada and Mexico are also really significant players. Canada's market, it's set to reach almost $12 billion.
Wow.
And Mexico's approaching $7 billion. It just highlights how deeply embedded influencer marketing has become, even in these, established digital economies.
Exactly. And what's really noteworthy there is how these mature digital markets are seeing such sustained high growth. It suggests businesses are increasingly seeing influencer collaborations, not just as a side thing, but as core,
As fundamental, yeah.
part of their main outreach strategy.
Okay, so moving across the Atlantic, Europe, its influencer market also shows, incredible momentum. It was valued around $2.1 billion in 2021
Okay.
and projected to reach over $56 billion by 2033. The CAGR there is just under 32%. So very similar to North America.
Very consistent growth rates across developed regions.
Right. And the UK is a real standout, projected to soar to nearly $11 billion, and it boasts one of Europe's highest CAGRs. Germany is also exceptionally strong, on track to reach over $13 billion.
Big economies, big influencer markets. Makes sense.
Totally. But it's not just the big players either. You look at countries from France, Italy, Russia, even across Northern Europe, Sweden, Denmark. They're all showing really robust, widespread adoption. I mean, many of these markets are expecting to expand by 20 times or even more.
20 times. It's hard to even wrap your head around that kind of expansion.
It really is. But if we're looking for the absolute fastest accelerator on the planet, we have to talk about Asia Pacific.
Oh, yes. APAC.
This region is it's clearly on a turbocharged trajectory. From about $1.5 billion in 2021, it's set to absolutely explode to over $51 billion by 2033. And it has the highest regional CGR globally, over 34%.
Higher than North America, higher than Europe.
Yep. China is the largest contributor within APAC, projected to reach over $20 billion alone.
Huge internal market there.
Massive. And then, get this, India. India holds the highest CAGR globally, an incredible 36.6%.
36.6%. That's phenomenal growth.
Isn't it? And it's not just about the sheer numbers, though they're huge too. It really highlights what some people call a leapfrogging effect.
Explain that a bit.
Well, you have this massive digitally native youth population, right? And they're kind of bypassing traditional media channels altogether. They're going straight to influencers for, trust, for finding products, for community.
Ah, okay. So less baggage from older media systems.
Exactly. It's fundamentally reshaping how people consume, how they buy things across the whole country. Japan and South Korea are also major players, of course, big markets there, as are Australia and countries across Southeast Asia, all showing these phenomenal growth rates too.
It's a really compelling case study, isn't it? How new technologies, new platforms can just be adopted so rapidly in, let's call them emerging digital economies. They're not as held back, maybe, by the legacy infrastructure of older systems.
Right, no inertia.
Yeah. The speed in India, for example, is just, it's truly unprecedented. It really speaks to a very dynamic, very engaged digital consumer base.
Absolutely. Okay, so beyond these titans, North America, Europe, APAC, the emerging markets in South America, the Middle East, and Africa are also seeing just phenomenal expansion.
Right. It's not just limited to those three.
Not at all. In South America, the market is set to grow from around $500 million in 2021.
Okay, smaller base.
Smaller base, yeah, but growing to over $15.5 billion by 2033. Brazil leads the region there, expected to reach more than $6 billion. And Argentina is following pretty closely, projected across the $3 billion mark. Again, high cash.
Consistent growth pattern?
Very. Then the Middle East, another real hotbed of activity, projected to jump from just over $300 million to nearly $8.6 billion by 2033. Saudi Arabia is a major force here, heading towards $3.6 billion. And the UAE is really notable for its incredibly high growth rate. Its market's expected to exceed $1.3 billion. High CAGR there, too.
Interesting. So high growth across different economic models in the region.
Yeah. And finally, Africa. The influencer market there was valued at about $200 million in 2021. Quite small still.
Starting small.
But expected to grow to nearly $6.7 billion by 2033. Nigeria leads the continent, projected to reach almost $2 billion, and it has Africa's highest CAGR, again, over 34%.
Another one over 34%.
Wow, and South Africa is also a key player, growing to nearly $2.5 billion.
So when you look at all these numbers, like from every corner of the globe, it really begs the question, right, what are the underlying factors? What's driving such consistent, such high growth across incredibly diverse economic landscapes, diverse cultures?
That's the million-dollar question. Or maybe the $210 billion question.
Exactly. It sort of suggests maybe a universal human desire for more direct connection, more authentic communication, perhaps, paired with, obviously, the increasing global accessibility of smartphones, digital platforms, internet access.
Makes sense. The tech enables it, but there's a human element driving it.
I think so. The data really points to a truly global phenomenon. You see different regions experiencing similar, really rapid adoption patterns. They adapt it to local nuances, sure, but it seems driven by the same core principles of, well, digital influence.
Exactly. It's just fascinating how consistent these underlying trends seem to be, despite the regional differences. So, okay, boiling it down, what does all this mean for you listening right now? Whether you're, thinking about new career paths or trying to craft marketing strategies for a business, or maybe just trying to understand the future of media and commerce, these numbers show a powerful, undeniable shift.
It's unavoidable, really.
Right. This isn't just some niche trend anymore. It's become a foundational change in how information flows, how commerce happens. And that obviously creates immense new opportunities, but also, new challenges, too.
Definitely both sides to it.
So just to recap quickly, what we've really explored today is the global influencer market's just staggering growth path. Rocking from, just billions to literally hundreds of billions of dollars projected in just over a decade. The immense scale, the global reach, the data really speaks for itself.
It really does. The figures we've walked through today, they truly underscore this dramatic, ongoing evolution of digital influence. It's a landscape that just continues to fundamentally reshape how information spreads, how products get discovered, how communities are built online and offline.
Constant evolution.
Constantly changing. So maybe something for you, the listener, to ponder. Given this, well, astronomical growth projected for the global influencer market,
Yeah.
how might this change the very nature of employment, of wealth creation in the future? Like, what new types of jobs or businesses or even maybe societal structures can emerge as influence itself becomes an increasingly monetized, increasingly central asset in our economy?
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into, well, the really dynamic world of influencer marketing. Our mission really is to unpack why it's shifting so much, what's behind it, the hurdles, and where it's headed, because our sources point to this huge change, people trusting individuals more than, say, traditional brand names.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's not just a small preference. We're seeing, what, over 60% of consumers saying they trust recommendations from influencers or even just friends and family way more than ads.
60%, wow.
It forces brands to rethink everything. They need to earn that trust, person by person.
Okay, so that's the what's, this big shift in trust. But let's dig into the why. What's really fueling this explosion?
Well, a huge factor is the return on investment. It's pretty remarkable. The data suggests, on average, something like $5.78 back for every dollar spent.
Quite a return.
It is. And it's not just random. It's tied to better targeting. Niche influencers can reach very specific groups, based on interest, location, age. It makes the campaigns much more efficient.
Okay, so the ROI is compelling. What about the platforms themselves, like Instagram, TikTok? What's their role?
Oh, they're crucial. They're definitely leaning into the creator economy. They keep rolling out more tools for monetization.
Like what kind of tools?
Things like affiliate links built right in-app shopping features, tipping systems, even these dedicated creator marketplaces to connect brands and influencers.
Right, building the infrastructure.
Exactly. It makes the whole thing work more smoothly.
Okay, but, with such fast growth, there have got to be some challenges.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely not all positive. A really significant problem is follower fraud. Fake followers, fake engagement.
Ah, the bots.
Yep. Bots, click farms. It means brands can waste a lot of money, and it damages trust when it comes out. And another thing is measurement. It's often hard to track direct sales.
Unlike, say, a Google ad click.
Exactly. Unless you're using very specific discount codes or, trackable affiliate links, proving the direct impact can be tricky.
So there are internal issues like fraud and measurement. What about external pressures, audience reaction, regulations?
Yeah, both are happening. Audiences can get fatigued, Too many sponsored posts start to feel less genuine.
Right, the authenticity issue.
And then you have regulators stepping in, like the FTC in the U.S. They're demanding clearer disclosures. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored. It's needed for transparency. But
it might impact that feeling of a genuine recommendation.
it potentially could, yeah. It's a balancing act.
Okay, so given these challenges, how's the industry actually adapting? What trends are shaping where it's going next?
Well, one really interesting trend is the shift towards smaller influencers.
You mean like micro-influencers?
Exactly. Micro, even nano influencers. So creators with, say, fewer than 100,000 followers, sometimes way fewer.
And why them?
Because they often have much higher engagement rates. Their audiences tend to be more niche, more dedicated, and there's often a deeper level of trust.
More bang for your buck, potentially.
Kind of, yeah. They can be really cost-effective and deliver strong results for certain campaigns.
Interesting. And what about the content? What formats are winning right now?
Oh, hands down, it's short-form vertical video.
TikTok, Reels, Shorts, that kind of thing.
Yep, precisely. It's built for spontaneity, it feels relatable, and it has this huge potential to just, go viral.
Captures attention fast.
In a very crowded feed, yeah.
And are brands sticking with just like one-off posts, or is that changing too?
That's definitely changing. We're seeing a move towards longer-term partnerships.
Like brand ambassadorships.
Exactly. Instead of just a single sponsored post, influencers become ongoing ambassadors. It lets them weave the brand due to their content more naturally over time, building more genuine connection and stronger brand equity.
Okay, so pulling this all together, it sounds like a space that's really maturing, maybe?
I think that's fair to say. It's evolving incredibly quickly. Consumer behavior keeps changing, the platforms keep innovating. The challenges, like fraud and measurement, they're still there. But the brands that are adapting seem to be the ones focusing on, well, smarter targeting, finding those authentic partnerships,
Yeah.
and creating content that feels native to the platform.
Right. Adapting seems key.
Definitely. Those are the ones best set up to succeed going forward.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about this shift in trust we've discussed, moving away from institutions towards individuals. How might that be playing out in other parts of your life, maybe beyond just what you buy? What other kinds of recommendations or information are you getting more from individuals now, maybe without even realizing it? Something to chew on.